When I worked with middle and high schoolers, it was fairly common for them to jokingly call me old. Well, at least I think they were joking. Well, the new thriller from M. Night Shyamalan, Old, has arrived, and we all know that he's been hit and miss with his stories. Does this one breathe new life for Shyamalan, or does it stink of death? A family on a tropical holiday discovers that the secluded beach where they are relaxing for a few hours is somehow causing them to age rapidly, reducing their entire lives into a single day. So if you've seen a trailer for this, you know that the concept is crazy and odd, where people age at an incredible rate when on this certain hidden beach. Now the cast is a great mix. We've got Gael Garcia Bernal, Rufus Sewell, Vicky Krieps, Alex Wolff, Thomasin McKenzie, Abby Lee, Ken Leung, Nikki Amuka Bird, Eliza Scanlon, and Inbeth Davis. I enjoyed the camera movements in this. There are some long takes that are helped by just the sweeping camera flow. Now, if you saw the Netflix movie Malcolm and Marie, there was an opening scene that the camera moved side to side through the house, following the characters as they moved from room to room. The same thing happens here, where we get to watch our characters interact as the camera follows. But I really like it when the subjects will move out of frame, but the camera keeps going. We can hear the audio to know that they're still there, but we don't always see them. And sometimes the characters will enter back into frame, and other times the camera will just catch up with the action. And this is used for some great effects throughout the film in order to allow for the passage of time. I imagine it kind of like all kinds of chaos behind the camera as people are rushing to get to their marks or swapping out actors before the shot resolves and then catches up with them. Sometimes the camera movements felt like they were riding ocean waves, but not in that way that would make you seasick. The shots would slowly move in and then patiently retreat. Other times, as characters would experience certain physical events, we'd see through their eyes to get a sense of what they were feeling. It was somewhat visceral, and I thought it was used really effectively. There's anxiety that is built almost from the start of the film. There are strained relationships, odd looks, and weird mannerisms that help to let us know that everyone we're seeing isn't all happy and cheery as they may project. And I really like the premise of this story. To have people put someplace where time affects them, I think that's a great concept. First, it creates an urgency in the story because if characters are to survive just that fast time passage, they need to figure out a way to escape, to get out of there. That built-in time constraint works well to increase the suspense and our unease. The way the story setup works, we don't know too much about any of the players, but we do know the most about Gael Garcia Bernal's family. We spend the most time with them, and the focus is mainly on them, which helps to ground us as an audience and connect us with at least some of the characters. And because we don't know much about them, when wonky things start to happen, we don't know how characters are going to react and where those situations will then take us. And this got exciting and tense at moments. There were parts that shocked me because I didn't expect a certain reaction. And this was actually a little more violent than I thought it might be as well. There were certain portions that just caused me to wince. There was one scene though that was meant to be scary or maybe at least suspenseful, but when it happened, it just looked ridiculous, which then caused the whole theater to break out in laughter. And I really don't think that that was the intended reaction. Now, this being a Shyamalan story, I went in fully expecting some kind of twist. So I was hyper aware of phrasings with the dialogue, names, logos shown, basically anything that could give me a clue as to what might happen and what the twist could be. And knowing the premise of the story did help me identify some lines of dialogue that I thought was touching or poignant, but I didn't find anything that led me to a conclusion. Now for me, the weakest part of the entire movie is the dialogue. There were many scenes where the characters just said the dumbest things. Now I understand they're under a lot of duress, but these are highly educated people we're watching, and the things that just come out of their mouth were laughable and even amateurish. At one point, repeatedly, a character keeps saying that someone needs to examine their children because what's happening to them must be a virus. Sure, if they're swelling, yeah, maybe that might make sense, but the context for these interactions is not that. And this exchange doesn't just happen once, it happens several times. One character announces his occupation where it could be relevant, but also in the context of the scene, he's not doing anything that would show us that he actually has that occupation. I think there are just multiple times where things are over-explained, obvious situations are spelled out, and people just say things that feel so out of left field. Now, even though I found the dialogue to be the weakest portion of the movie, there were a couple of times that I really enjoyed what was coming out of people's mouths. Rufus Sewell, who's not necessarily very likable and for good reason, has a couple of lines that made me chuckle. There's also an exchange between two characters that it's said quickly and quietly, but it's really quite funny. And it has to do with appearances, and I thought it was well done. Now, I really enjoyed the themes of vanity and value that are explored here. And when I speak of value, it's not monetary that I'm referring to, but rather what people hold dear. And there's also sort of a morality play going on. While I think it's pretty far in the background and not necessarily explored well, the message and point are there, and the question that is raised is a good one that could make you wrestle a bit with means versus ends. So overall, I enjoyed Old. It's a thrilling hour and 48 minutes that provides great suspense and anxiety with elements that I don't think you're going to predict. The pace is constant and driving with characters in action that draw us in and keep us tense. And while the dialogue is the weakest portion, the story and themes work together well to craft an engaging narrative. There's no sex, some nudity, a lot of profanity, and some brutal violence. I give Old 3.5 out of 5 couches. So are you looking forward to seeing this one? Do you have maybe a favorite Shyamalan movie? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.